I lived downtown in the projects. I would walk to the Kill Center, I would get on the Metrolink, I would take the Metrolink out to Natural Bridge, UMSL. I would then take the Natural Bridge bus because her studio used to be on Natural Bridge and 170. I went out there, I taught 2 classes, and she paid me $10 per class. So I would make $20, and then I would go back home, and literally that was the most important job that I had. And nothing felt as gratifying as being paid to teach those 2 classes. And I look back I used to get paid $10 a class. $10 a class is crazy, but back then, that was oh my God, you gonna pay me $10 to teach? And I would do all of that traveling to go out there and teach my classes because it wasn't about I would have did it for free.
You had that passion. What's going on, Opecast? It's Braden, and we are back. We took a little bit of a break as we worked out a partnership with KLIS, the Lou Information Station, right there on 590 AM. But if you're listening to this on Apple, Spotify, whomever, or maybe even watching it on YouTube, no worries, everything's still the same. But now we're able to reach even a bigger audience because there are still people that are listening to AM stations, and then there's also the Lou Information app, and there's the station you can listen to and learn more about St. Louis if you are in this area. This is still the same season. We're still in season 3. We just went on a little bit of a break. As you all know, this is still an independent podcast, and we're making it work. But on today's episode, I caught up with Kode Redd Williams, of which I just saw his show the other night. It was absolutely incredible. His whole team, they did great. So yeah, let's get to it. What's going on, Opecast? Today, I have a very special guest. And he's somebody that I've admired for quite a few years. A few years ago, I said, hey, I got to get you on my podcast. And today, we're making it happen. And before I even let him speak, we got to give him his flowers because he's done a lot in his, I'm going to say, shorter career because you have a long way to go. But I'm sitting here with Kode Redd Williams, who brings a significant performance, choreography, and teaching experience to the world of commercial hip-hop dance. A St. Louis native, Redd Williams has traveled all over the world teaching thousands of students. He's performed and choreographed on tours, movies, music videos, live stage, and national television commercials for the likes of only Beyonce, J-Lo, Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey, Daddy Yankee, Lil Kim, Nelly, SZA, and so many more. I mean, he was in the movie Uncle Drew. Redd's choreography has also been performed on the legendary Showtime at the Apollo. Redd served as the artistic director of the hip-hop crew at the Center of Creative Arts, shout out to COCA, for 15 years. He now owns his own commercial hip-hop studio, which is where we're at right now, Kode Redd Dance Studio, where he also serves as the artistic director of his own commercial hip-hop dance company, Kode Redd. Also proclaimed in St. Louis not once but twice, so March 13th. That one was Kode Redd Williams Day.
Yes. June
2nd is Kode Redd Day. Redd prides himself on being an exceptional leader, teacher, and mentor in the community while leading the next generation of professional and pre-professional commercial hip-hop dance artists down to the path of discovering their best selves. Welcome to the show. That is impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Before hitting all those accomplishments, let's take a step back. Let's talk about Redd's upbringing and really, what got you into dancing? How was that your creative outlet?
As a kid, you hear those stories of oh my God, every time Michael Jackson would come on, you would be in front of the TV dancing. Every time there was any birthday parties or anything, I was always me and my sister, we would always have dance routines that we would do. And yeah, I've never had any formal training, but I've always been a dancing kid. And maybe I was 13, 14, a freshman, maybe in high school. I met and I took my very first dance class from a lady. Her name is Ovalarita Harris at 12th and Park Community Center down in the projects. Shout out to the projects. Yeah, I was, and this is so cliche. I was walking past the community center, and I saw them in the room dancing. I went in that room, and the rest is history. I never came out. And from that day of meeting her, I was going everywhere with her, and she is actually the person that I credit for even discovering this world of dance in St. Louis. I never knew existed. There was a bunch of different dance groups around the city that I had no clue existed, and she was the link between me and a whole nother world of like artists in the city that were like dancing. So when I started dancing with her, I started traveling to like different community centers around the city. So we would dance at 12th and Park, we would dance at Tandy's, we would dance at Marquette, we would dance at anywhere that had space and would allow us to come in and dance, we would dance. But she's that person that would pick all of us up in her van. She would drop all of us off. And yeah, she is the person that sparked like that, oh my God, I actually think I wanna like do this like for the rest of my life.
What's a dance group?
There was a group called the Playboys. There was a group called BMS. There was a group called, well, not a group, but his name was Flex. She didn't introduce me to him, but because I started meeting other people, I met him. Yeah. He had a group called Flex Productions. There was another dance group. They were kind of like a spinoff of dancers that used to dance with Flex Productions, but all of these groups existed. And there was a group called Matif that I had no clue about. Nobody really danced with each other. Everybody had their own groups until we all met each other a lot in part through her. And then it just kind of became this big network.
Was that around the time of, what was it? I remember there was that Chicken Noodle Soup. I don't think that's a St. Louis song, but you know, like that, I feel like dances were really coming out at that.
Oh no, we before that. We go back to the mono and all of that.
Okay,
Yes,
gotcha.
and chicken head, lose the soup, the actual chicken head. Like we go back there. Like that's my generation.
Who started those dances? Were those out of St. Louis or were those nationwide?
No, those are like mono is out of St. Louis. Like the Monastery was an actual nightclub that we would all go to and dance. So people see me out now and be like, why you don't be dancing in the club? Because I have literally
You've done it.
been there. And when I say done that, got the t-shirt, got the shot glass, like, I mean, that was my thing. Like I would put on clothes to go to the club to intentionally dance. And I would be soaking wet and thought nothing of it. You know what I mean? But the mono is a dance that was birthed in the club, the mono.
It's kind of interesting because like I just got back from Miami and just there and even places here in St. Louis, Vegas, club culture is just a lot different.
And our era was literally so authentic because, you know, we were really like, we lived that life. It was a lifestyle. Like it was a genuine lifestyle. Like we didn't go to the club to drink or nothing like that. We went to the club to dance. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we went to the club to dance. Like we didn't go to the club to socialize. We went to the club to dance. So from the time I would get there, and I would get there before midnight, and you know I would leave 5 or 6 in the morning, and I would go Friday, I would go Saturday, and there was a point in time I was clubbing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and dancing during the day, clubbing at night, dancing. Like it was like taking care of my mom in the morning, my brothers and sisters, like going off to dance, getting home from that, on club nights, getting dressed, going to the club and like it was literally like
it's your life.
One of those cliche dance movies. It was a thing. It was a lifestyle.
Obviously, dancing, you're burning calories. It's a hell of a workout. But then also on top of that, are you having to do, you know, Pilates, yoga, things to keep the body loose, strength training, like?
Conditioning is subjective because I mean, everybody, I mean, you could benefit from all that stuff. Yeah, you could benefit from all of that. I mean, doing Pilates, doing yoga, but realistically, depending on the style of dance that you do, it already kind of has its own warm-up. For what I do, you know, I have a set warm-up, but, you know, there are times where, you know, we're gonna be doing a lot more. I'll let them do whatever warm-ups they feel they need to do in the moment before we even get started with my warm-up to get it together. But yoga helps, strengthening, Pilates, all those things. I mean, not necessarily conditioning you for dance, but it does help you a lot. Overall. Yes, and keep the body, you know, limber and flexible and all that stuff.
You're a teenager. Do you remember the first time you were paid to dance and that feeling?
Yes. my very first paid dance job was an actual teaching job. And it was for Judy Best Talent Center. Yeah. Like that's the very first solidified like paid dance job that I got, and that was back in high school. She's actually the very first person that gave me my own weekly class. So the very first studio that I taught for was Judy Best, and that was like the first time that I was actually getting paid to dance.
And I'm sure that hit different than, I don't know, working at a fast food chain or something, you know, $7 an hour.
Like I would literally, I lived downtown in the projects. I would walk to, at this point it was called the Kill Center. I would walk to the Kill Center, I would get on the Metrolink, I would take the Metrolink out to Natural Bridge, UMSL. I would then take the Natural Bridge bus because her studio used to be on Natural Bridge and 170. I went out there, I taught 2 classes, and she paid me $10 per class. So I would make $20, and then I would go back home, and literally that was the most important job that I had, because I also worked, probably at that time I was working at maybe like McDonald's or something like that, and nothing felt as gratifying as being paid to teach those 2 classes. Like, and I look back like, damn, like I used to get paid $10 a class. $10 a class is crazy, but like back then, like that was like, oh my God, you don't pay me $10 to teach? And I would do all of that traveling to go out there and teach my classes, because it wasn't about like, I would have did it for free. Like,
You had that passion to figure out how the heck you were going to get there before.
Yeah.
So here in St. Louis, a lot of creatives, they feel like they hit that peak of what they can actually do here in the city, performances, commercials, things like that. You made that jump out there, right? How was that jump? And then, you know, building that base out there, those relationships.
Back then, like making that jump was a necessity because we didn't have social media. So all of my contact had to physically happen. You know, there was no Instagram, DM, you know what I mean? Everybody's literally at the fingertip at this point. That didn't exist. Like you literally had to be in these spaces with these people. You had to know people and then new people. You had to actually get out into the world to experience people, to meet people, to know people, to get yourself out there. And back then, in order to obtain any kind of career in what it is that we do, you had to move. You know, there was no video record yourself and send an audition tape in. There was no none of that. Agencies wouldn't even consider you if you didn't live in the city. You know what I mean? And I had to move. You know, I had to move, you know, to be able to actually connect with the people that I wanted to connect to, because I would have never met those people had I not moved. You know, and doing that, I definitely was I was allotted a bunch of opportunity being in LA and meeting the people that I was able to work with, that then spawned into opportunity that I didn't have to be in LA for, you know, but it was hard. Yeah, it was very hard. I mean, like I had never lived on my own to the point to where I had to pay rent, you know, and my first apartment in LA was it wasn't even 500 square foot. It was a full apartment.
So you're doing everything like, all right, make my bed, make my dinner.
Yes.
Turn on my TV.
Yes, me and my god brother Braden, we moved together. He was a hairstylist, and I was a dancer. And we moved right behind Millennium. Millennium was like, it still is like the premier, you know, dance studio, celebrity dance studio in its own right. We moved directly behind Millennium.
That's smart.
Yeah, like my apartment was directly behind Millennium.
And that was intentional. You
Yes,
knew what you were doing.
yes, very much so. And our rent was $1,000. And that was back in like 2006. So that rent easily is, for that little bitty place, is easily $3,000.
But it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, Millennium isn't there no more, so no.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, in the smack center of North Hollywood, California is where I lived at. I lived on Otsego and Clump. Yep. A block away from Lancashire. And Millennium sat on Lancashire and Otsego, or Clump. And I moved directly behind there. But yeah, it was essential to actually get out there and like connect with people. And you know, from that time, when I moved there, I had already visited there like years prior. I would go out there, I would take class and stuff like that. So I met people and all that stuff. So when I finally moved, I had already had a sense of a community. I knew how it worked. I was already teaching classes. So I moved to LA already being able to teach class. So I taught at Millennium, I taught at Debbie Reynolds, and eventually I had my own class at Debbie Reynolds. Yeah, so none of that wouldn't have been possible had I not moved
out there.
Had to.
A lot of us from St. Louis, we're hungry for more. And so let's talk about that first break. What was that and how did that make you feel?
My first break was for Nelly. So I danced for Nelly fresh out of high school, the Breathe In, Breathe Out video. So I lead that whole thing, and then from that, I did some choreography consulting for Shake a Tail for the music video. Mm-hmm. And then from that, I actually got to choreograph Nelly's European tour. And all of that was like, I was still living in St. Louis doing all of that. Wow. So I had a friend of mine at that time, her name is Ebony, but she goes by Bonnie. She was also dancing with Nelly at that time, and she had a really close relationship with like the camp, and so she put a word in that, you know, I was a choreographer, so I was able to make that connection, you know, through the help of her. And the actual initial connection that I had was through a girl named Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy was, they were all in the Breathe In, Breathe Out. No, they were all in the Shake a Tail for the video. They were all, but they asked who can go to New York and teach Diddy the mono. And she told them me. So I was the person that went to New York and taught him how to do the mono for that video.
Oh, I remember that scene, yeah.
Yeah, so I was the person that literally flew to New York to teach him how to do that dance. And like that connection was made through Shaughnessy, and then ultimately the connection for the tour was made through Ebony, Bonnie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was my first break, fresh out of St. Louis. I didn't have a clue what I was doing as it pertains to like, I knew nothing about nothing back then. So I didn't have to sign an NDA for any of them, actually, not even for Beyonce. And I did a Pepsi, so her choreographer at the time was Frank Gaskin. I did a Pepsi commercial with him for Mariah Carey. Mm-hmm. So from that opportunity, he asked if I wanted to be in Beyonce's Get Me Body video. Of course, you know. Yeah. So that was another one of those opportunities. You do one thing and, you know, you make a great impression and an impact, and they bring you in for something else, you know. So Mariah Carey and Beyonce were actually kind of a linked connection from the same person. And J-Lo was also one of those scenarios, like I have a friend, J.R. Taylor, like I'm choreographing for J-Lo. I'm doing J-Lo's American Music Awards set. You wanna dance? Yeah, I'll dance. I flew out, you know, but again, that's a connection that I made from being in LA. Same thing with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga was from a connection that I made dancing with Corbin Bleu. So I danced with Corbin Bleu, which was at the time being choreographed by Lorianne Gibson. So I worked with Lorianne Gibson, and again, making that impact, making that connection, you know, and being, you know, great at what you do. Just get a phone call, you know, are you available for a music video? I'm like, yeah, who is it? Lady Gaga. I had no clue who Lady Gaga was.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And at this point, her first single had just dropped, and it was Just Dance. Yep. I had no clue, like, who was Lady Gaga? And I'm saying that, like, oh my God, you don't know that? Like, no, I have no clue who she is. But I flew out, did the music video, and it was literally like, I did Love Games. You couldn't get her off of a TV or a radio after that. And it was insane that, like, you make that connection, you get that call. And I was living in St. Louis when I did that.
Let's say someone's listening to this and they're very talented, but, you know, maybe they're late to practice, or, you know, they're not connecting. Like, what advice would you give to them?
What advice would I give to people, especially this generation of dancers, is you have to build good habits. You know, people don't like to connect their behaviors to everything that they're involved in. Mm-hmm. You know, people think that things are exclusive to certain things. And, you know, the one thing that I tell people is, if you're somebody that's late to work all the time, 9 out of 10, you're just somebody that's late. Mm-hmm. So you're not only going to be late to work. This is a habit that you have, you know what I mean? So you're probably late all the time, you know what I mean? And they don't make that correlation between their habit and the lifestyle and how it affects everything. And I tell people all the time, like, you have to just build great habits about yourself. You know what I mean? If you're somebody who wants to be punctual, be punctual. You know, it's not a sense of even having to like condition yourself. If you want it, you're going to do what's necessary to get it. So if you got to be, if rehearsal starts at 5 and you know that there's going to be traffic, leave the house at 3. But then I'm gonna be too early. But why are you okay with being too late?
Damn.
Like, you don't want to be too early, but you're okay with being late. You know what I mean? And that's a habit. That's a mentality. You know, being okay with being late versus being okay with being on like early, that's a mentality. That's not even a habit. That's a mentality. You know what I mean? And that's a mentality because a lot of the times, again, you don't make the connection between the choices you make and how it affects everything that you have going on across the board. Like, you're not just that ain't just how you feel about getting to dance practice. You're gonna walk in your job and say the same thing to your boss and expect people to care about that. You know what I mean? You're gonna get to the airport, and because your flight, you didn't have to check a bag, you think that you can leave the house 2 hours early because you don't have to check a bag, and then you get to the airport late, and now it's everybody else's fault because you're late because you made the choice to think that you had time. You know what I mean? It's a mentality, and I just tell them all the time, you have to build habits that are going to benefit you no matter where you go. You know, you walk into the studio, you say, man, I don't even want to walk across the floor because it's so clean. You know, that's a habit, and that's a habit that benefits me wherever I go. So if I stay at a friend's house, you're going to benefit from my habit of being neat and being clean versus having a friend stay at my house that doesn't live the way that I live and may be a little more messy. Now you're going to bring the value of my space down because, again, you're used to living this type of way that does not bring value to my space. But because that's how you live in your space and I live like this, naturally I come into your space, I bring value because I'm going to leave your space better than I brought it, than I got to it. You know what I mean? And building habits that benefit you no matter where you go will never, ever not be beneficial, you know? And that's the one consistent advice that I give anybody at this point. I try not to give advice that's specific to dance. I try to give advice that is something you can use no matter what facet of life or career you go into, you know, and ultimately that, and just work to be a good person. Treat people good, you know, and don't treat people how you want to be treated. Learn how people want to be treated, you know what I mean, and maximize on that because you may like to be cursed out and all that. That don't mean I want to get cursed out, you know what I mean? Like, you have to and that's also a habit and it's a mentality. Like, learn the people that you're around and respect where people are and learn how to treat people, you know, and that's the advice that I give, you know, consistently to dancers, artists, no matter what.
So we're here in Kode Redd Studios.
Yes.
What does this mean to you?
What does Kode Redd Studio mean to me? Kode Redd Studio means everything. I mean, this is my biggest accomplishment of my career, is opening up this studio, especially because it's a space where people can genuinely just come and dance. You know, like there is no, you know, and it's cliche to say, you know, this is a no judgment zone, but I mean, it genuinely is, you know, and no matter, you know, what you have going on and no matter where you are in life, like, this is a space that you can come and genuinely let all of that go and allow it to kind of, you know, uplift you and take you to a space of positivity where you can escape any and everything, because that's what, you know, dance was for me. So I wanted to open up a space that, you know, could be that safe space for other dancers. You don't gotta talk about what you're going through. Just come in a room and allow the room to do what the room should do. You know what I mean? Allow you that space to escape that and genuinely just, you know, just dance. Like, it really is that space, you know, where people should be able to just come and exist in this space, you know, and leave everything else out, you know, outside the door. And, you know, when you leave here, you can get back to it. But in this space, this should be another world, another level of escape, another level of connection to where you don't even have the mental capacity to worry about anything else. I mean, it means legacy. Like, at this point, I don't want any kids of my own, Like, like, what about your legacy? Like, this is my legacy, you know what I mean? Like, and, being able to mentor, so many, not even just kids, but adults. There's a bunch of kids that literally grew up through my program. Like, I mean, from, grade school all the way through adulthood, and still as adults, this is the space that they can't imagine themselves not being in, and it means, it's my legacy. Like, it is my legacy. And to be able to, like, teach the next generation everything that I know, so that not only the day that I decide I want to go off and do something else, or, the day that they decide this is something they want to do, they would actually be equipped with what they need to at least start somewhere, and this space is like exactly what that means. Like that legacy, planting those seeds, so that those trees can grow and, continue to, branch out and allow other people to learn. And, and my hope is that, they take what I know to a level that I can't take it to. You know what I mean? Like, that's why there isn't anything that I've learned or that I'm willing to learn or that I know that I don't try to give back to this room. Like, there is no, I hate the term gatekeeping and all of that, but there is none of that up in here. Like, if I know it, you should know it. But in turn, you have no choice but to be better than me. Like, y'all should be better dancers than me. Y'all should be better businessmen and businesswomen or business whatever than me. Like, you guys should genuinely be better than me, because I had everything for me was trial and error. I'm literally giving you guys like a crash course on exactly kind of what it takes to obtain, exactly what it is that I have and more. I had to trial and error everything. Nobody taught me how to fish. I had to go out there, figure out what was the best way to catch a fish. Then I had to figure out what kind of fish I wanted to catch. Then I had to figure out how to get the fish out. It was all trial and error, and you guys can come for advice. You guys can come for experience, and it's literally there. Now, I ain't gonna give nobody anything, but, I have all the advice.
They have to have that hunger in them. Like, we can tell them A through Z, but is it going to waste my time to tell you A through Z if I know you don't have that like track record of execution? Now, if you're hungry and I see that in you, I'm going to give you all the tools to help you succeed. But why am I going to, I don't want to say waste my time, but I am wasting my time if I try to help you here and you're just going to just blow this off, just be like, oh, I could do that.
A lot of these people, they don't want information, they want stuff. Like, they actually want you to like do it for them. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want you to tell them how you did it. That's not enough. They want you to tell them how you did it, show them how you did it, and then do the same thing for them. Which is why you can give all the advice in the world, but again, if there's no execution behind, any of it, or if there's not even the want to execute, it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. And they come back for advice again, but at that point, I've packed my advice up in storage. Yeah, I don't have it.
You have a few people that have gone through Kode Redd. They're performing in the Super Bowl. They're performing at award shows. So you're literally at home watching. I'm sure you have a watch party.
I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Listen, I mean, and that post I made about the Super Bowl was the very first time I had even done that. I have dancers that have come through my company that are everywhere. Yeah. Like, if you're looking at something with dancers, 9 out of 10, there's probably somebody from St. Louis in it. Like, that's very honest. Like, they're genuinely everywhere. I can point to any of those pictures at any time and tell you, this person is doing this right now, this person is doing that, this person has done this person has done that. Like, and you're like, really? Why you ain't say nothing? There is so many credits from those pictures alone. Like, I mean, very honest. Like, from those pictures alone, there are so many credits, and there are people that have come before this that are doing stuff. I mean, so again, at any point, the Super Bowl, that was just when I decided, what, I'm gonna say something, because it's crazy. Not only is it 4 of them, it's like 4 of them all at the same time on the same job from the same company from the same city. You know what I mean? Like, and one of them still lives here, who's still in the company. So that was kind of a first that. has happened. I've never had that be a thing where I have like that many, alumni and current dancers of the company on a job together on that level of a platform. So I felt necessary to say something. And I told myself moving forward, I would let people know a little more about what's going on.
And you're on tour right now, right?
Yes.
So how does that work? And what are you teaching?
So I tour with a national dance convention called Velocity, who one of the owners is also from St. Louis. And I was brought onto the faculty in 2020. So my first tour was 2021, 2022, and I teach commercial hip hop. Mm-hmm. So I'm the commercial hip hop teacher. So we're in a different city every weekend.
For those who don't know, what's commercial hip hop?
So commercial hip hop, so I say commercial hip hop because commercial hip hop is the broader spectrum of movement and choices that you choose to teach with your choreography. When you just say hip hop, it puts it in the box of the original elements of hip hop. You know what I mean? Commercial gives it more of a broader spectrum of choice and of movement quality that you can experiment with. And hip hop, pretty much aligns it with the traditional elements of hip hop, popping, locking, breaking, like that type of vibe. And, I don't teach that, I've had some level of experience and exposure to it, but that's not what I teach. What I teach is more commercial. It has a more elaborate vocabulary and movement quality to it. And I just want to respect the actual foundation of hip hop, to not call it just hip hop, because there are some people that hear that and see it, and right away they're expecting you to be breakdancing or something. You know what I mean? And that's not what you're about to do. You know what I mean? And to say it's misleading. You know what I mean? And I have a lot more education and understanding of the difference between hip hop and commercial hip hop. So I want to make sure that I respect that foundation of what hip hop is and where it came from and what it is that we do. A lot of us, 99% of us do in the industry right now.
And how many people are you teaching each weekend?
Oh, it varies. The full weekend, can be over 1,000 dancers in the weekend. I think the biggest class that I've had on a regional was maybe like close to 400 kids in a class. And the biggest nationals is like 500 to 600 people in a class. I mean, like a full ballroom packed from one end to the next.
How does that make you feel? Because there are a lot of people going to that because they know you're going to be there. Mm-hmm. How does that make you feel? I mean, that's your tour right there.
Yeah. And this is something that, I have never done before, and it's something that was on my list of things I wanted to teach on a dance convention. I started my own dance convention, intensive success convention, because, that was a goal of mine. And I mean, to now actually be on one and to stand on a stage, because it's a full functioning tour, on down with trailers that take all the production equipment from one city to the next. The stages have to get built out, has to get taken down. There's literally, there are moving parts to every aspect of the tour. And I've learned a lot, from even Corey. Corey is the other owner. I've learned a lot from, just being in that space about what it takes to even do anything like that. You look at it and you don't realize how massive of a workload it is and how many people it takes to pull that stuff off. And to be standing on that stage every weekend, being able to teach thousands of kids and actually to get people coming to you every weekend just telling you, I got a DM this morning from a parent of a child that said my daughter had never taken hip hop before and she was really nervous about the class, but when she got in the car after your class, she asked me to look into hip hop classes for her. And I just want to tell you, thank you for that. I get messages like that all the time, and that tells me that what I'm doing is it's not an impact that I have local. There's something about me that resonates with people no matter where I go, and being able to now do it on a platform to where you're able to this will be equivalent to what social media was for this generation of people. That platform being that big and being able to touch that many people all at the same time. You know what I mean? Will be equivalent to that. Because I mean, my room is as big as it's ever been here in St. Louis. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, 50, 60 people in a weekly class is insane. And I can confidently say I don't believe there's anything in this city, you know, or probably even closely regionally that has that type of pull and has that type of resonance with the community and with dance, especially us being a commercial hip hop studio that isn't necessarily a freelance studio. Like, this is an actual studio that hosts freelance classes, but there's a company and there's, you know, it operates on the grounds of what a comp studio would operate without doing competition. You know, and to have that level of traction into the studio, you know, on a weekly basis is insane.
Now, I want to hit you with a few quick hitters, and then we're going to get into talk some food. So, the moonwalk, overrated, still iconic, or is it something else?
Still iconic.
Breakdancing in the 2024 Olympics, is it a win for hip hop culture, or do you think it's just a gimmick?
I think it's a win for hip hop culture. Yeah, I mean, no matter if it's a gimmick or not, the platform itself is a win.
TikTok dance challenges, are they pushing dance forward or oversimplifying the craft?
I would say a little bit of both. Okay. Yeah, it definitely has like everybody thinks that they're a dance, they can do what I do, or that what I do is as easy as what is being done on TikTok. The amount of people I get coming to me and say, oh, my baby can dance, she gotta be in your dance class, I'm gonna show you a video. And of course the videos are of the kids doing TikTok challenges. Yes, exactly, you know, and you know, because they're connecting dance in general. There aren't tiers to it. They're just like, oh, my baby can dance because my baby can do choreography, but not necessarily realizing that, you know, TikTok dance challenges are 1,000% different than, you know, actually being a technician at dance. Like, I consider myself a technician, you know, because I have formal training at this point, you know, and I have foundation. And because I have foundation, there isn't pretty much anything that I can't learn how to do that quick as it pertains to dance, versus a dancer that has foundation within the TikTok realm that, you know, excels at that, but no formal foundation as actually a technician at dance. Mm-hmm. So when they come into my world of dance, a lot of times they're right away discouraged, because the level of technique that you have to do it. And I mean, it's tiers to that. There's the retention of choreography. There's even understanding your body enough to even understand how to move in certain ways, you know, understanding detail enough to even recognize, you know, where your weight shifts are. And that's all of those things go into play, and it becomes a foreign language to them, because there's very little technique into learning TikTok challenges versus actually being a technician at choreography in that dance.
Now let's talk food. Foodie Friday, 3 or 4 of your favorite spots in town.
So, 3 or 4 of my favorite spots in St. Louis. Miley's, that's literally my favorite spot to go to. Oh, I get the roasted duck, General So chicken, always gonna get fried rice, the oxtail pho, I've had the sea bass, I've had hot braised shrimp, hot braised chicken, I've had lo mein, I've had Singapore noodles, I've had the ribs. I like to go to El Burro Loco. Like, I am really, like, when it comes to food, I'm not like a super like emos.
That's the most popular
Yes.
one on here.
I tried the Ramsey restaurant. The crab cakes down there were insane, down at the Four Seasons. And I actually really enjoy 801 Chop House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's say you have dinner guests. Could be people dead or alive, whether it's family, friends, celebrities, whomever. If you could have 3 people join you at that booth of whichever restaurant, who would they be and why?
Michael Jackson. Because, I mean, Michael Jackson is like the reason why I dance. So I would just want to know, like, I would just want to know his method of madness. I would want Barack Obama, because I just want to know how was it being, the official Black first president. And I need to know is a lot of that stuff that we be seeing in these shows really happening. And I feel like he'll be like real.
Yeah. That would actually be funny if someone sat him down. Is this real or fake?
Like, I feel like he would be real about it. And Tyler Perry.
Okay.
Yes. And Tyler Perry, because he's another person that, I don't say it a lot, but I look up to Tyler Perry a lot. Like, he created, like, everything. I mean, he's literally trial and error. He created literally a platform that's only his at this point. Mm-hmm. Even if it looks like something Tyler Perry related, they're going to automatically reference it to Tyler Perry. But most of all, he values, from what I can see and what I've heard how people speak about him, he values new artists a lot. And he gives people like a platform to genuinely express and grow. Like, I've heard, artists say that he is the highest paid job they've had. He's the job that has made them feel the most respected and appreciated. Like, I've heard that consistently a lot, just looking at different people that have worked with him talk on different podcasts and stuff like that. And, just how, he is one of a kind. Like, I don't think that there has ever been a Tyler Perry.
I think it's just like what he had Oprah as one of his mentors, and it's kind of like what you do. Someone has spent the time to teach you the ropes, right? And they have some success. Your goal is for that person to be better than you and keep learning, and that's how you grow the culture. That's how you build community. Yeah. Instead of having just you and this person, you can have hundreds of you.
Hundreds of people. Yeah, like, that's the thing. That's how you that's how you build legacy. Like, you have to plant seeds, but you have to literally plant those seeds with the intention of those seeds to grow, not only grow, but grow bigger than, you and anything you could have expected or wanted for it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to invest into something that I don't want to be bigger than anything I can be. It's a waste of time.
Backtrack, yeah. Words of wisdom. You've provided us with a lot on this episode, but if someone's listening to this and they aspire to do what you're doing, or they're going through a tough time, what would you like to leave listeners with?
What I would like to leave listeners with is a victim mentality never produced winners. Like, there's always something at the other side of what it feels like is happening right now, and, to be a victim has no genuine merit. And everything happens for a reason, and I mean, it sounds like, oh my God, because it's real, you know what I mean? Like, I could easily have been a victim to everything that has happened to me, but again, I wouldn't be here today if that was the case, a victim mentality never produced a winner.
Now, how can people follow you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Redd, REDD 818. The Kode Redd page is KR Dance, and that's DANCESTL. And I'm on TikTok, also Redd with 2 Ds, W818, and Facebook, Anthony Redd Williams. Yes, everywhere. Awesome. And my website is anthonyreddwilliams.com.
Awesome. I appreciate your time, brother.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate you for having me.